Hey everybody, this is Tom from VermiBag. Now it's been a couple of months since I've been running the VermiBag Totes. I think I introduced them about 2.5 months ago. I've had these systems running ever since then. And this is the one that I placed in the wood stand, and it has the migration panels in it. And I've done 2 harvests on it so far. And really the migration panels seem to work pretty good. But there's been a lot of people writing to me, sending me emails and stuff requesting the VermiBag Tote with the solid 1 compartment only. So I kind of wanted to compare the two. You know, I've had 2 of these running exactly that. This is a VermiBag Tote with just a single compartment placed inside a Rubbermaid tote. This is a VermiBag Tote with the migration panels installed, and it's mounted in one of the wood stands that I make. So what's the difference? I mean, are they operating the same? Is one better than the other? I don't know. I don't know if there's really that many advantages to having the migration panel, to be honest. It does work pretty good, but you could easily do the same type of thing in a solid compartment. You just won't have that defined line where the panels are. So let's take a quick peek into each of these bags and see how they're both doing. So far, the big things I've noticed between the two is when you place the VermiBag Tote in a Rubbermaid tub, it definitely holds a lot more moisture. That can be a good thing, could be a bad thing. But there's definitely I've had no moisture issues whatsoever with the VermiBag Tote that's in the Rubbermaid tub. Where on the other hand, the VermiBag Tote that I have in the wood stand, I need to watch it a little bit. I need to add moisture to it off and on because there's a lot of airflow going around that system. But again, there's advantages to having that airflow, but the disadvantage is that they're going to dry out. So if you're going to have a system and you're not going to watch it or you're going to neglect it from time to time, you'd probably be better off taking a Rubbermaid tote or taking a tote and putting it in a Rubbermaid tub versus putting it into a wood stand. Now, whether or not you get the migration panels or not, migration panels add cost, of course, to the VermiBag Tote. So based on feedback from the customers and stuff, I'm going to offer these in several different varieties now. I'm going to go ahead and offer the tote with the migration panels or without the migration panels. And then I'm also going to offer it either with a vented lid built into it or just a solid Cordura lid. And don't be afraid of the solid Cordura lid because it does breathe quite a bit. But if you're in a really, really humid area and stuff, you'd probably be better off to go ahead and put a vent in it. But definitely for those drier areas, I'd go ahead and opt for the solid lid. I think it'll actually perform better for you. So let's zoom in a little bit closer. I'll show you both of these and we'll talk about a couple other disadvantages and advantages. Kind of look at the difference between the migration panel and the one without the migration panel. Is it worth the extra money to put the panels in there? Again, I think that's up to you. It does work really well, but you could easily do it differently by yourself by just pushing it to the side. Just not as clean. So come inside, take a peek at these and see what we got. So let's take a look at the tote with the migration panels first. Now this system does have a lot of worms in it. This is the one I've done the accelerated harvest on twice, and the worms are doing great in it. There's a lot of worms in there. There has to be at least 3 pounds of worms, maybe a little bit more. There's a lot of material in here. The last time I added a lot of paper and cardboard and stuff. You can see there's a banana peel here. The worms are definitely working on this stuff. They're all over it. I also added some bread. You can see how moldy it is here. And again, the worms are working on that. So as far as the system operating, it works great. This particular one has the vented lid on it. I've ran another one without the vented lid, with the solid lid. It seemed to work really well too. I was kind of amazed. It doesn't condensate very much because this Cordura lid actually breathes pretty good. So you don't get any condensation on the outside of the lid either. But as far as the health of the worms in here, they're doing great. The worms love it. The moisture is it's a little on the wetter side, I think, of being good. But I think it's a good idea to run these a little bit wetter. The material down deep again, now this would be the 3rd harvest on this thing, is really starting to get worked over pretty good. If I go all the way down to the bottom on some of these sides, again, the very bottoms, it's a little moister than I would like it, but it'd easily dry out real quick. I don't think I'd be able to sift it immediately, but and again, you can see the worms are evenly dispersed everywhere throughout this area. Big clump that were on some, I think I put some pears in here, I think it was. And big worm balls. But again, I can't be happier with the performance of it overall. The migration panels, what do? The migration panels do a couple things. One, they support the bottom of the bag better. So if you put it into a Rubbermaid tub, it's going to keep it off the bottom a little bit better. But you can also put something really stiff there, some really stiff cardboard that'll last probably for a harvest cycle. Or you could actually even put a real thin piece of like a pressed board or something on the bottom that would stiffen up the bottom and keep it off the bottom. But I initially thought it'd be really important that it was off the bottom, but the one I have over here is sitting on the bottom, and it still gets a lot of airflow around the sides of the bag, so it's working really well. And the little section that's touching the bottom, it doesn't seem to bother anything at all. But again, what else do the migration panels do? Well, it makes it really easy to do the harvest on here. It gives you defined areas to pull everything into, mount everything on the top here. But is it really necessary? Again, I don't know. That's up to you. The other system you could do, the one single compartment, you could do the same thing. You're just not going to have these defined lines. So I think as far as functionality, I think performance, I think they both operate pretty much the same. I haven't noticed any differences there. But so really all the migration panel is doing for you is stiffening the bag up slightly and giving you a little bit easier method to harvest. But again, overall in this system, the worms are doing just fabulous. The compost looks really good. Down deep, it's starting to turn, pretty dark. There's a lot of paper in here. And the second time I fed this, I put a lot of big chunks of cardboard and stuff in here because I don't plan on doing accelerated harvest on this one again. Let's step over to the tote that's in the Rubbermaid tub. It's a single compartment and see how that's doing. Okay, so this is the tote that's inside the Rubbermaid tub. Now this is a single compartment and it has the vented lid. And right off the bat here, again, you can see how well worked over some of these areas are. The worms have been, these are just all castings up on the top here. Let's see how the worms are doing down deeper. You can see here the bottom on this bag, it hasn't been harvested yet, but it's real dark on the bottom. It looks really good. The top material still needs to be worked over because again, I had a lot of big cardboard pieces and stuff. I got a big piece of burlap in here. They love this burlap, but at some point, you almost have to just let it go to the bottom of the bag, and that's what I did here. I just let it sit in here and it'll disintegrate over time. This is getting pretty well worked over. It's starting to fall apart, but the worms absolutely love this stuff. They hang out in it. They lay a lot of cocoons in it. So I'll lay it back in the bottom here after I get done here. Take another dig here. Now I don't have the worm population in this system like I have in the other one, but the worms that are in here, look really healthy. Moisture content is really good on this system. It's nice and moist. I haven't added any moisture to it other than the food. Whereas on the other one that's in the stand, I have added water to that from time to time. Now again, at the very bottom of this system, if I go to the very bottom here, it's pretty moist right here. It's acceptable, but it's definitely pretty moist down at the very bottom. Now, and this system too is sitting on the bottom of this Rubbermaid tub, just in the center section probably. It's just touching probably in this area right here on the bottom. But if you go down along the sides, I can actually put my hands all the way along the sides. So there's a lot of airflow still going around the system. And if I tip the tub up to one corner, no, there's really no noticeable liquid in the bottom of the bag. It's all being retained right now, so that it's not that wet at the bottom that it's actually dripping out. But it's hard to express, the moisture content in this, by looking at it like that. But like I said, it's a little bit on the moisture side, but overall it's really good. The worms look real healthy. So as far as performance, I don't think there's any difference at all between a single compartment or the compartment with the migration panels in it. The bag's going to perform the same for you. Now in this bag, if you wanted to do a harvest on it, you could easily grab all the material out of one side here and go ahead and put your bait on the other side and let them migrate. You just don't have that fence there, that defined fence. So I don't know if it's worth the additional cost, because it takes quite a bit of time to put that migration panel into the systems. Again, it is kind of sweet to have it, but is it necessary? Nah, I don't think it really is. It's just a nice to have thing. But as far as the performance of the bag, this thing works great. And inside the Rubbermaid tub, it does hold moisture much better. So I think my personal recommendation on the totes right now, they have changed slightly, I think. I would recommend getting a tote that has a single compartment. And if you're in any area at all that's a little bit dry, I'd recommend getting it with a solid lid. And that's sweet, because that's the cheapest one out there. If you're in a real humid area, I'd probably go ahead and get the vented lid on it. If you're in a humid area, I think you get away with putting the tote into a wooden stand if you wanted to do that. But in dry areas, I don't think I would. I think there's too much airflow around the system, and it's going to require you to really monitor the system an awful lot. So, pretty good recommendation, I think. I'm telling you to get the cheapest system, and I think it'll actually be the best. But the tote was originally designed for a Rubbermaid tub or one of the Huskies or something that they have at Home Depot. But, and that seems like that's actually what it works the best in. So, lots of options. I'm going to go ahead and offer them all those options on the website. But, if you're really thinking about trying one of these out, again, I think I'd just recommend getting the one, placing it into a Rubbermaid tub, single compartment, solid lid. Again, unless you live in a really humid area. So that's it. Hopefully that's a quick review on the totes. I hope you found it helpful. Until next time, this is Tom from VermiBag. Ciao.